Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today is our second lecture on clinical kinesiology, and we were discussing about the voluntary movements. And in the previous lecture, we discussed the two types of movements, that is, voluntary movements and the involuntary movements. Involuntary movements are those movements which are not under our control, and voluntary movements are those movements which are completely under our control, under our will. We further classify the voluntary movements into two main types, that is, active movements and passive movements. Active movements are those movements which are actively performed by the contractions of the muscles without any external force, without the assistance of any external force other than that of the gravity. And the passive movements are those movements which are performed by the external movements, and there is no participation of the muscular contraction. The external force may be the force of gravity, maybe the force of the physical therapist, maybe the force of the other hand or other limb of the patients, and maybe it's a mechanical device for exercises. We discussed that what are the active free exercises and what are the type of active exercises. The active exercises are consists of or classify as active free exercises, active assisted exercises, active assisted resisted exercises, and the resisted exercises. And in the previous lecture, we discussed about the active free exercises. I will give you a brief roundup of my previous lecture, and after that we will start our remaining lectures about the active free exercises. Voluntary movements, those movements which are performed by the muscles walking in opposition to an external force. Classification इनकी हमने देखी थी free exercises, assisted exercises, assisted resisted exercises, and the resisted exercises. Active free exercises किसको कहते हैं? What are the active free exercises? Free active exercises are those which are performed by the patient's own muscular efforts without the assistance or resistance of any external force other than that of the gravity. Further, we studied about the nature and character of the active free exercises. We discussed that the nature and extent of movement. The active free exercises are very widely in character and effects because of the nature and extent of the movement, the manner in which they are performed, and we can achieve all those results from the active free exercises which can be have by the exercises. Indications, what are the indications? I told you that the indications are those conditions in which we prescribe the free exercises, active free exercises, and the opposite word to the indication is the contraindication. Contraindication will be those conditions in which we will not prescribe the active free exercises. Those conditions in which we can prescribe the active exercises are called as the indications of the active free exercises. The first indication, in case of muscular weakness, if the muscles are weak, we can provide him the active free exercises to strengthen them. After the removal of the plaster cast, if there is any plaster cast which is put on the limbs, and after the removal of that plaster cast, the muscle will be bent into the weakness, and for their rehabilitation, for to regain their strength, we give them the active free exercises. Muscle re-education: if the muscles forget his work, how to perform his duties, how to perform his work, which was he was performing before the injury or trauma or the disease, we will re-educate that muscle to this work, to that work, after the trauma or the injury has been healed and the patient is returning to the life, and we re-educate by the active free exercises. Limitation of range of motion: if there is any limitation, whatever is the cause of limitation of the joint, range of motion, ROM, we called it is as the range of motion of a joint. If there is any limitation, whatever is cause of that limitation, we provide him the active free exercises to restore the movement of the joint. Cardiovascular and the respiratory disorders: in order to cardiovascular insufficiency or respiratory disorders, we give him the active free exercises. Inability to do basic functional ADL, activities of daily living, independently. If the patient is unable to do his activities of daily living after the restoration, after the disease has been over or his effects have been now are gone, and the patient is returning to life, to regain his activities of daily living, we give him the active free exercises. The goals of active free exercises: they increase the circulation, they increase the rate and depth of the respiration, they mobilize the stiff joints, they improve the range of motion, they strengthen the weakened muscles, they improve the coordinations and balance of the patient, they can restore the activities of daily living, they can correct the deformities, they can improve the posture. If the if the cause of bad posture or poor posture is weakness of the muscles, we can improve the posture of the patient by the active free exercises. To improve the gait and ambulation, contraindications: I told you in the beginning that the opposite word to the indication is contraindication. In those conditions, we will not give or we will not prescribe the active free movements or active free exercises for the patient in these conditions. These are the contraindications of active free exercises. Number one, immediately after cardiovascular disorders, example, myocardial infarction and angina pectoris. I told you that the myocardial infarction is the heart attack which is due to the death of the myocardium, due to the breakage of blood supply, or due to the blockage of the arteries to the which are supplying blood to the heart muscles, and due to the deprivation of oxygen, the heart muscles went into death. Myo means muscles, cardial means cardiac, heart, and infarction means death. Myocardial infarction or MI is the heart attack in layman language, and angina pectoris. Angina pectoris is also a disease of the heart. Immediately after the recent tear or to ligament, muscles, or injured joints. In these conditions, active free exercises are contraindicated. At the site of fracture, recent surgical procedures on tendons, ligaments, muscles, joints, capsule, or skin. Diseases of bone, for example, tuberculosis of the bone or pathological fracture due to the osteoporosis or tuberculosis of the bones. Acute joint inflammation, acute muscle inflammation, muscle swelling, severe joint pain, and acute muscle pain. In all these conditions, the active free exercises are contraindicated. Further, we read about the classification of active free exercises. These are the, it may be classified according to the extent of the part involved. Number one is localized exercises, and number second is the general exercises. And we discuss about these two type of active free exercises. Localized exercises are those which are designed primarily to produce some local and specific effects. For example, mobilization of a particular joint or strengthening of a particular muscle group. Movement is localized to one or more joints, either by the use of a suitable starting position or by voluntary fixation of other areas by the patient's own muscular efforts. In which, in this case, you have to remember that the other part of the body or the limb which is not involved in exercises is stabilized by the patient's own effort. In this condition, you or any other person or the physiotherapist or any other external force is not required to stabilize those parts which are not taking part in the active free exercises. These parts are stabilized by the patient's own muscular effort. In this example, we read about the pendulum exercises for the shoulder. I told you that the pendulum exercises are given in the frozen shoulder. Frozen shoulder is a condition which will you come across. Often you come across, you will see patient of frozen shoulder in your practice daily. And frozen shoulder is the limitation of the range of motion of the shoulder joint in a particular pattern, which is called as a capsular pattern. At your level, you should understand that the decrease in range of motion of the shoulder joint is called as the frozen shoulder. And in frozen shoulder, we give the exercises to increase the range of motion and to mobilize the joint, which are called as the pendulum exercises for the shoulder. Pendulum exercises are also called as Codman exercises, and these are the particularly we are given for the shoulder joint mobilization, for the shoulder joint movement. So these are called as the active, localized active free exercises. General active free exercises, as the name indicates that it is a general exercises, and the active free exercises are free exercises that are usually involve the use of many joints and muscles all over the body. Their effect is widespread, as these are the general exercises, many joints and muscles are involved in it, so that these have the widespread effects. Example is the running, walking, and coordination exercises. You know that in running and in walking and in coordination exercises, we uh, we mobilize or we exercise or we move over many joints, and many group of muscles are involved in running and walking and so on in the coordination exercises. Characteristic of free exercises. There are two types of characteristics of the free exercises, namely subjective and objective. Subjective, what are the subjective characteristics of the free active exercises? It means performing the movement within the perfect anatomical range and pattern. Patient has to concentrate on the perfection of the movement which he performs. Exercises which are subjective are usually formal and consist of more or less anatomical movement performed in full range. The attention of the patient is deliberately focused on the form and pattern of the exercise to ensure the accuracy and performance of the exercise. Objective. In objective exercises, as the name indicates, there is some objective which have to be achieved by the movement of the patient, by the active free exercises of the patient. At the end of the exercise, he has to achieve some goal or uh, some type of type of aim has to be given to the patient to achieve it. And these are the objective exercises. In objective exercises, patient's attention is concentrated on the achievement of some particular aim or goal which will result from his effort. For example, standing. Patient is standing and his arm is stretched upwards to touch a mark on the wall. This is an objective which is given to the patient to stretch his arm upward and to touch a mark which is pointed on the wall, so that he has to achieve that aim, that goal, and that objective at the end of the active free exercises. Or to throw a ball, to somewhere, or to put a ball in somewhere. This is also examples of the active free exercises in which we are set some objective for the patient. The presence of a goal to be reached is stimulating to effort, but care must be given to accuracy of the movement, and it should not be sacrificed to achieve the goal. As you know that if we set a goal for the patient to achieve it, or we set an objective for the patient to achieve at the end of the exercises, it will stimulate his effort. His effort will be stimulated to achieve that goal or to reach at that point which we have given him as an objective. But you have to look after into it that to achieve the goal, the patient must not sacrifice uh, the way he exercises and the pattern of the movement and the anatomical position of the joints and muscles should not be sacrificed. उसमें patient को जो है आपने you have to look into the accuracy of the movement. Movement is accurate, and patient is not sacrifice the accuracy to achieve the goal. For example, in walking across some room to get a cup of tea, the quality of walking must not be allowed to deteriorate. The quality of walking should be at par, and patient should not compromise on the walking pattern during this objective and during this goal. He should walk perfectly. His gait should be perfect during this objective. But if the patient is lose his attention to have his quality of walking as par, then the objective of the free active exercises will be lost. You will lose the objective of the free exercises if you compromise on the way of walking, or his walking pattern has been lost, is not up to the mark, is not correct. If his walking pattern is incorrect, he is losing the objective of the exercises. Our aim is to achieve the accuracy in exercise, not to get that objective, or not to touch the mark on the wall. But our aim is to do the pattern of the exercises, to do the exercises in the accurate position, in the accurate pattern. If we compromise on this, our goal is not to achieve this objective. Actually, our goal is to achieve the accuracy of the exercise, accuracy of the movement, and to increase the efficiency of the patient. Not to touch that wall, not to touch the mark on that wall, or not to take this cup of tea by the patient, but to increase the efficiency of walking, or to improve the walking of the patient. Rules and principles of active free exercises, or techniques of active free exercises. After discussing all these things, now we will give you a brief introduction about the techniques of active free exercises, how a physical therapist will supervise the active free exercises, how the patient will perform the active free exercises, and what are the parameters on which they should be act upon during the performance of these exercises. Instruction. In physical therapy, instructions are of core value in achieving the goals of the exercises. If the patient is instructed well, is instructed accurately, he will do, he will perform, he will perform the exercises accurately. If the patient is not instructed well, you will not be able to get his confidence, and the patient is unable to understand the goal of the exercises and the purpose of the exercises, and the patient cannot perform the exercises accurately if patient is not instructed well. Instructions are given in a manner which will gain the interest and cooperation of the patient and led him to understand both the pattern and the purpose of the exercises. Patient should be learned about the pattern and the purpose for which we are giving these exercises. So if the patient is agreed upon your opinion, then the performance of the patient will be very good. He will do the exercises in very right manners, and if he will not understand your instruction or you fail to achieve his confidence, the movement or the exercises will not be at the perfect level, and the patient confidence will be lost, and the the exercises could not be done in the right manner. Starting number 2 is the starting position. Starting position is selected and taught with care to ensure the maximum postural efficiency as a basis for the movement. You know that we learned in the posture that postural efficiency, posture is the basis for the movement, and if the starting position for a particular exercise, a particular active free exercise is not good, then the postural efficiency as a basis for the movement is not achieved. The patient must choose it according to the physical therapist, sorry. The physical therapist must choose it according to the patient's condition, type of active exercises, the type of muscle contraction desired. What is the condition of the patient? The starting position depends mainly on the condition of the patient and for what we are doing these exercises. What is the purpose of doing these exercises? You're doing the exercises, doing the particular exercises. The condition may be the stiffness of the joint, the weakness of the muscles, the cardiovascular insufficiency, or any other condition which has to be treated through the active free exercises which have discussed in the indications of the active free exercises. The condition for which we are giving these exercises, the starting position will be according to the condition of the patient. Type of active exercises, the type is whether objective or general. If the type is the objective, we have to set the position of the patient accordingly. If the type is the general exercises, then it will be accordingly. Speed of movement. Number third is the speed of movement. The speed at which the exercises are done depends on the effects required. What effects you are desiring from the exercises, the speed will be according to those effects. It is usually slow during the period of learning, as in the beginning the patient is not aware of the exercises and he is in the phase of learning. In this phase, the speed is slow so that the patient can learn it very well. And later the patient is either allowed to find his own natural rhythm or the speed desired is indicated is decided or dictated by the physical therapist. What are the goals? What are the causes of giving these active-free exercises? We will decide according to these goals, or to according to these aims, which we are desired at the end of the exercises. If the desire is to strengthen the muscles power, it will be accordingly. And if the goal is to achieve the active range of motion of a particular joint, it will be accordingly, it will be adjusted accordingly. And if there is if we want to improve the coordination of the many muscles of the joint, many muscles of the body, it will be according to this aim, or according to this goal. It often helps the patient to maintain his natural rhythm at home. When the patient learns the exercises, and he is familiar of doing these exercises, and he learned how to perform these exercises, and he adjusts his rhythm to his own rhythm. And if he adjusted his rhythm according to his natural rhythm, it is also helpful in doing these exercises at home. During practice under the physical therapist supervision, the patient is encouraged to count loudly. When the patient is practicing the exercises under the supervision of the patient, under the supervision of the physical therapist, he is encouraged to count aloud, to have to develop a rhythm in the exercise. Progression. Progression, as the name indicates, as the name expresses, that progression is the progress in the exercises, how we can go into the advanced exercises, how we can progress in the exercises. An active-free exercise program must be progressive, and as soon as the patient is capable of performing a more difficult task, he should be encouraged to do it. When a patient is capable of doing something, and we evaluate that he is perfect in doing these exercises, or doing this a particular job or particular goal, then we progress, then we advance to the next level. Constant re-evaluation of the patient ability is essential to allow the re-education to be progressive. We constantly re-evaluate the patient's abilities, and decided that now the next session of exercises, or next scheme of exercises should be introduced to the patient as a progression of the active-free exercises. Repetition. The number of times the movement is repeated depends upon the aim for which we are doing these exercises: strengthening or endurance, the fatigue of the muscles. If the muscles are fatigued, there is no need to exercise them, and this is the point where you have to stop the exercises. If the muscles are fatigued and you are keep on moving those muscles, it will be not benefits of the muscle, but it will be in danger of the muscles, and muscles may be injured during these exercises. After they get fatigued, you should stop the exercise, and you should not continue